Hello guys, welcome to the episode 5 of our CSS series. So far we'll be talking about colors, we're talking about we can assign our CSS styles to HTML. So in this episode we'll be talking about CSS selectors, grouping and specificity. The way we can group our selectors, in as much we know that we are using the element selectors, ID selector, class selector to give style to our HTML. So in this series, we'll be looking at to group them and the specificity, the rank at which they can affect our CSS. Now let's go back to our VS Code. Now, the in this grouping in grouping CSS, we have some methods that we use and how it affects the style of the HTML. The first method is what we call descendant combinators. Descendant combinators simply means whereby we have a parent and we have a child, and we want to assign style to a child according to his parent, because in our web page we might have different parents along the in a HTML file. For instance, we have center here. In another here, we can come here and have session, and the session come here and have session. So inside this section, we might want to do something else. Probably we want to put an image here. Maybe we want to put an image here. So different thing, we can add different thing. So we can have different on our page. This is a section, this one is another section. So we want to give style according to his parents. Okay, but in this center tag, we want to give some style to this p tag and some other thing that we'll be adding to it. So let's see how we can do it. Now. We will come here talking about. So we are talking about Descendant to give according to his parents. To do this in CSS, we make sure that the element of the selector of the parent is first choosing, then a space before the child. So let's give this p tag a color. To give this p tag a color, we come here, give it color p, then we do our CSS style here. Here we can just give the color blue. So if we give it blue like this, we check our browser, we can see that we have blue color indeed. The color is blue indeed. So this is how to give a descendant combination, how to use descendant combinators in CSS. Another one, we have child combinators. So child combinators simply means that okay, we are assigning a child according to his parent. It does not concern the grandchild. If we can see very well when we explain descendant combinators, the center that we are using is not the direct parent of this p tag. The direct parent of this p tag is the div. This div is the direct parent of this p tag, but it's still our CSS is still showing is because in descendant combinator it can choose the grandchild directly, in as well that all the child are within it will give you the style. So in child combinator, it does not apply like that. It always apply to the direct child. It does not concern the grandchild. So let's see how we can do this. Now we use style here to do this. The direct parent of this one is div. Then to introduce this, we are not going to use space. We are going to use this symbol. So let's see the browser and see the effect. Can you see we have the same effect? If you want us to test it, if it will apply, maybe the child will apply. Let's put center here. You can see it. There won't be any changes on the browser. This is how it is. So that is different between the child combinators and the descendant combinators. So let's move to another part. We call it adjacent combinators. This adjacent combinator is mostly used when we are within a section. Probably we are working with multiple parents, our multiple elements rather, working with multiple elements, and want to give it style according to the way they are arranged. They may be after the head, anything that come after the head, we want it to have a color of this. So let's see how we can do that. Now inside our div, let's introduce a new tag 6. Let's just say, okay, this is CSS tutorial. Let's put this one, this is just CSS tutorial. So if you come here to our distro to introduce this adjacent, when we want to introduce this as adjacent, we are going to make sure that, okay, the first thing is that, okay, h6, anything after our h6, we want to give it a color. So we just call here plus, means anything after the p tag, then we open it, equals, to give it a color of what? A color of blue. So let's see the effect on the browser now. And so you can see the effect. So this is how we use adjacent combinator in CSS. So another one, we call it multiple selectors. Multiple selectors simply means instead of writing our style directly and giving it a class, we can combine everything together and define it once. What I mean is that here we can see that our h6 is not having a color. It's not having a color. So if I want to define it a color, I have to come down here and say, okay, h6 color blue, which I don't like. That means I'm repeating myself. So in HTML, in any programming language, we learn that we should not repeat ourselves. So let's introduce this. That is when the multiple selector comes in. So here, well, okay, anywhere we see h6 h6 p tag, we want to give it a color of blue. So we want to give it a color of blue. Can you see? Let me save this HTML. Can you see we have the same effect on the browser? That is, this is how to use multiple selectors. So now let's move to specificity. Specificity means, okay, the rank at which our selectors take effect in HTML. So let's see how this works. Now we've defined this h6 and p tag to be color blue, but maybe in our style in the front, maybe line 20, we've already defined h6 and p tag to be color blue. But when we get to some section part of our code, we discover that this is not actually working for a specific something, and we want to change the color. We don't want to check the general color for others, but we want to check the specific color of one. So let me introduce in this section here. Let me introduce another tag here, h6. We call this one this. So in this pic tag 2, we call this one, let's just give it a lorem something and let it long. So let's see on the browser. We can see that on the browser, our under the sections, we are still having Italic Academy and the pic tag color blue, and this is not what we want. This is not what we want to happen. And if we want to do this, instead of coming here, changing our style directly from here, is what we can do here and make use of the specificity in CSS. This method in specificity, we know that in method of assigning style to HTML, we have inline style, we have ID selectors, we have class selectors, and we have element selectors. So now here we know that we use element selectors. So to override this now, we have to use ID, because ID have highest rank when it's come to an element. It is the highest rank given to an element in HTML, in CSS, and in JavaScript too, for JavaScript use. So let's make use of the ID. Now let me assign an ID to this id. Let me call it, that one is called heading. Let me call this one sub head. Subheading. So now let me come here hash, as we know, subheading. This subheading, I don't want to give this a color of blue. I want it to remain black. So I will just come here a black color. Let's check our browser. You can see now this color has already changed to black. It's because we are making use of the specificity, the way the our selector is being arranged, the rank which they take for effective style. So we make use of it here. And same here too. If we want to make use of this, we can give one some ID too. But in case probably you want to check if class can do it, class can actually override the p tag, our element tag. Class can do it. So in this class, let me just give it p tag. So let's save it. Come down here. Dot p tag. A color of black. So let's go back to our browser. You can see it has already override the elements. Class override it. But in case to be on the server side, it's better for us to always use id to override any style. Class is not, because the class might be used by another thing on the top. Maybe we are having some, we might use the class. So it is better to be on the server side to always use id, and ids have highest rank when it comes to applying style to an element. So it has highest rank. Another way of doing it is by using our inline style. Let's practice the inline style for this p tag. It's by using our inline style. So if you come here, instead of going to our style and start changing it and the rest, you can just come here, type here, and tell, okay, in this place, so I want the color should be black. Our color should be black. So if I move to this, I'll still have the same thing. So this is how selector grouping and specificity work in CSS. I'll be looking forward to see you in the next video.